you will probably see one of our ads, which is be careful about fake news and keep your distances, and also for your health, get information from reliable sources or INSERM, but not only, like any, can be media outlets that do fact checking about health, like what was presented just before me. It's just like trust your sources. And also we have made a collaboration online with Samuel Etienne, which is a very, very famous journalist and news presenter that is very has a big community online. So it's a good collaboration to develop our audience on the social media. And on the next slide, yes, you will see what we had done in 2023. We had like developed fake miracle cures products that we placed in mock vending machines at some gare. For example, on this picture, you can see it at Gare Saint-Lazare. So I showed this to you because we also try to add a touch of humor to those campaigns, because they can be quite heavy. So sometimes laughing a little bit can help to make it easier. So finally, I think this will be my last slide. All this could not be possible without our rapid response team of researchers. That is something that we have developed actually during the COVID-19 crisis. We have built a community of researchers that are specialized about topics where you can have a lot of fake news. For example, Eric Dortenzio is specialist in infectious and tropical diseases like COVID-19 or chikungunya. Mathilde Touvier, she's a specialist in nutrition. And Xavier Kumul is a specialist of the impact of health pollutants, for example, and also pesticides, for example, acetamiprid or PFAS. And all these scientists, they agreed to to answer rapidly to some media requests, and also to collaborate to write those content for the Canal Detox media to combat those false claims that are spreading around health. So we have actually, I just showed 3 faces because they are like they are on topics that we hear a lot, but we have actually like 100 of researchers, around 100 of researchers that are in this rapid response team that we built, and this community that has been shaped to fight disinformation. I will end my presentation on this note. We can't do this alone. We really need everyone, the journalists, the educators, the communicators, but also the politics to help bring information to as many people as possible. And now our work at INSERM is really, we try to share it as much as possible in webinars like this one, but also in classrooms, in books. We have published actually 1 book about fake news in health, and we might publish a new one next year. We are also sitting in the steering committee of France's national strategy to fight health disinformation, led by the Ministry of Health, because such a strategy has been launched in this year. And we can produce good verified content, and we have like the top researchers to explain why some things are wrong, why some things are right, and why something are just a bit odd or in the between. But we need to make sure that it actually reach other people, and for that we need you. And I hope we can collaborate to keep combating health disinformation. And that was all.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you for the interesting presentation. And also, I'm French myself, so I've seen those campaigns in the metro across the country and so on, and I found them really funny. So that's why I also reached out to Gabrielle, and I thought it would be a good national example of campaign and strategy that we can apply. I had a couple of questions. I said that there is one in the chat from Kathleen. But first of all, I was wondering, first, you're talking about that you go in schools and you do indeed training. So I was wondering, how do you do that? Do you collaborate with other organizations like CLEMI, for example?
We are also, so we right now it's a bit handmade. So we have like people, mediators that go sometimes to school to talk about health disinformation, but we might, but it's still like we are thinking about doing a collaboration with Clémy, and we might do something with them next year. Yes.
Ah, okay, indeed, because it would be interesting because so Clémy, for the ones who don't know, that the Center for Media Literacy in France, they operate at a national level, and what do they do is that indeed they train teachers in media literacy, and then those teachers themselves train other teachers about media literacy, so they have a big impact across the country. So it would be interesting. And I was wondering also, because we're talking about public health here at the national level, and we are talking about ethics and risk and so on. I was wondering, the collaboration you're doing with Samuel, for example, or Tip Science, how do they work? Are they volunteer-based? Are they paid content and all of that? Because it's a tricky question.
Yeah, it's a tricky question, mainly for public institutions like ours, which has a really tight budget, especially right now. So actually, with Samuel Etienne, we paid him because he really has a huge community, so it's interesting for us, and he doesn't do these things for free. But Tip Science, on the opposite, it's like he's not getting paid to do that. He does that because he thinks it's important, and so yes, depending.
I think it's great to hear that both collaboration exists. And just one last question, and then I'll ask Kathleen a question, and I see that Dorina also has one. I was wondering how many researchers approximately are involved with INSERM? I mean, Canal Detox,
So with INSERM, something like 5,000, and with Canal Detox, like 100.
Oh yeah, okay, it's a good database. Okay, thank you. So Catalina is asking, but I think it's for Kathleen, sorry, is asking, but I think it might be for every speaker as well. But she's saying many false narratives are also having a pseudoscientific foundation.
Yes.
How do you differentiate your accurate scientific content on Canal Detox from the fake news that are also claimed based on scientific foundation?
So we tried to do really a pretty classical debunking work where our scientists really explain how this scientific exploitation work. I was really I read some of you have probably heard of Timothy Caulfield. He's like a Canadian writer and scientist, and he wrote a lot about what he calls science exploitation. Science exploitation is the use of science to sell things and for marketing purposes, where you will just use a very complex word like exosomes, and so your product will seem much more efficient, but in the end it doesn't mean anything. So we try to debunk this science exploitation just the way he says we should do it. So like really taking all these arguments and showing, for example, how you see here they talk about a study, but when we search for the study on the internet, we just can't find anything, or the study was just animal-based, and we have a lot of conflicting studies. We use all these logical arguments to try and debunk. And the good news is, according to there's a French, I can't remember her name, but there's a French researcher who studies on fake news. And she says actually debunking fake news, if you do it really like on a very methodic way, it can help really to convince some people. So it can work, just like it's a bit it's an unequal fight, but it has some impact according to the scientists. So we hope we do have some impact.
Okay, thank you. So I see, I asked Dorina to clarify a question because I wasn't sure if I could understand it correctly. So could you maybe, Gabrielle, answer it in the chat?
I will.
And anyway, Gabrielle will stay with us for the open discussion at the end. And we will now move on to our next speaker, which is Kristine from Norway. And I will give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Chloe. And I hope you see my screen.
Oh, yes, perfectly.
Perfect. Good afternoon, and thank you for 2 really interesting presentations so far. And thank you for inviting me to talk about efforts to counter health disinformation in a Norwegian context. My name is Kristine, and I'm currently doing a PhD in health communication at the Arctic University of Norway. And although Belgium, France, and Spain is quite a distance from where I am, it is truly encouraging to engage in this important conversation on health disinformation. Further, I'll provide a small selection of examples of how Norway address disinformation through a strategy and 2 national campaigns, as well as 3 local research-based initiatives from my university. So it's going to be quite a lot. And this is what we're going to cover, or I am going to cover. It's going to be about the context of health disinformation in Norway, key national strategies and campaigns, and 2 research-based initiatives, actually 3. It's going to be one called Urøyk, one called Universe, and Escape Room. But first, a short introduction to the media literacy problem according to the young adults, here exemplified by nutrition.
Stop fucking eating eggs immediately.
Oatmeal sucks minerals out of your body because it's high in phytic acid, and it spikes your blood sugar more than ice cream.
Guys, eating meat is just so bad for you.
Apples are horrible for you.
Yeah, they are.
Peppers and tomatoes are ruining your gut health. Lots of other vegetables are too, but I get a ton of questions about peppers and tomatoes specifically.
Stop drinking water is actually quite dangerous. Not only harmful to your brain, but harmful to your overall body health.
So it's quite difficult for a lot of us. I'm sorry. Like many countries, Norway faces a growing challenge with misinformation online. And even with relatively high trust in authorities, misinformation can spread quickly. During the pandemic, false claims spread quickly, but even outside crisis situation, misinformation about nutrition or exercise and mental health can distort public understanding. Although trust in authorities remain high, it takes collaboration and transparency to maintain it. And that's why national institutions, researchers, and educators increasingly work together to promote critical health literacy. And believe it or not, and despite some efforts, Norway is a bit late to the class. In June 2025, the Norwegian government launched its first national strategy to strengthen resilience against disinformation. Although not limited to health, it includes key measures that protect the health sector, such as strengthening the media literacy and regulating social media, and supporting independent journalism and research. Health-specific actions included a National Health Exercise of 2025, which trains the sector to manage digital threats, and a new Digital Security Act that safeguards data and trust. And together, these efforts aim to build a more informed and resilient society. So this is a hot topic in Norway right now. But let's move forward to different initiatives. This is a national campaign in Norwegian, Gjør kloke valg, or choosing wisely. That's a national initiative led by Norwegian Medical Association together with several professional societies. It addresses a subtle but important form of misinformation. The belief that more medicine is always better medicine. They are contracting myths, commercial pressure, and even good intention can lead to unnecessary testing and overtreatment. Practices that waste resources and sometimes can actually cause harm. The campaign combined professional guidance and public education. For clinician, it offers clear evidence-based recommendation, highlighting tests and treatments that should be used with caution. And for patients and family, it promotes 4 simple questions before agreeing to do something. And the first question is, what is it for? What are the benefits and what are the risks? Are there simpler or safer options? And fourth, what happens if I wait or do nothing? And those questions build health and actually media literacy as well, encourage shared decisions and informed choices. Another initiative on a national campaign level is faktisk.no. Faktisk.no is Norwegian's independent non-profit fact-checking organization and was founded in 2017, like quite late. And it's a collaboration between major media houses in Norway. And directly translated from Norwegian, it actually means reality. Its mission is to fight misinformation and strengthen public trust by verifying claims made in the public debate. So every fact check is transparent and readers can see the sources and the process and how they did it and how the conclusion was reached. Beyond fact-checking, faktisk.no runs an initiative called THINK, which means think, an educational program that promotes media literacy and critical thinking in schools and libraries and among young audiences. I think that's enough because I have got a lot of examples, and we're going to take another one, which also is a national campaign. That campaign, I'm going to say it in Norwegian because hearing native language is quite nice as well. And in Norwegian we say, det lett til å bli lurt, og lurt å være kritisk, which translates to, it's easy to be fooled and smart to be a little bit critical. I'll show you.
Vi har fått oss hund.
Vegansk mynde heter den. Den finner sin egen mat.
Ja, det litt gøy. De turene med hund tar jo aldri slutt.
Vi fant henne på nett, faktisk. Perfekt for allergikere, stod det.
Og nå skal vi på do igjen. Har du en pose?
Okay.
Eller rekker vi å gå ut?
Ja, jeg kan gå og hente den.
Ja.
Det lett å bli lurt, og lurt å være litt kritisk. Hilsen redaktørstyrte medier.
Vi har fått oss hund.
So it's quite cute, actually. So this is a quite regional campaign from the Norwegian media industry. And like I said, it's called It's Easy to be Fooled and Smart to be a Little Critical. The last thing they said in this video. And the campaign is led by editorial responsible media and aims to increase awareness among young people aged 18 to 30 about the importance of fact-based journalism and editorial-controlled media. Recent figures from Statistics Norway show that 1 in 4 young people aged 20 to 24 gain their news from TikTok. And among even younger audiences, 4 out of 10 rely on it as their main source of information. That's why the Norwegian Press Association and the National State-funded TV channel and several national media organizations created this campaign. It is designed to meet young people where they are, which is online, and to use humor and relatable storytelling to promote critical thinking. So there are some overlapping themes between these talks you are listening today. The goal is to reach 70% of the target group and an 8 to 12 week period. So it's quite intense. But the message is clear. If you use editor-controlled media, you can trust the information you get. It's easy to be fooled and it's smart to be a little critical. Now we're going to move forward to more local initiatives. And the first one is called Urøyk, which directly translated means no smoke. And this project explores how to communicate effectively with young people about vaping, an issue shaped by heavy marketing, peer influence, and misinformation. A lot of it, actually. Rather than repeating warnings, Urøyk looks at how message design and framing affects credibility and impact. The project involves researchers, schools, and health authorities working together to co-create communication that feels real, respectful, and relevant to young culture. For example, we analyze how vaping is portrayed on social media, how humor and tone and visual affects interpretation, and how trust can be rebuilt through openness instead of fear, even though young adults that we interview actually wanted more fear-framed interventions. So the goal isn't just to reduce vaping; it is to strengthen media and health literacy as well. Because when young people help design the messages, the project is going to be more like a co-creation process than a top-bottom design project. The project is actually in the first stage, and right now we are working, the working group are preparing an RCT. The next project is one I'm leading. It's called The Universe, A Space to Think. And this is an art-based research collaboration that brings together scientists, performance artists, and upper secondary students to explore physical activity, mental health, and well-being. In an online environment full of conflicting messages about health, Universe offers a space, a room, a place for reflection and creativity. Through co-creation workshop and performances, students translate scientific ideas into art and into movement. And they are questioning how knowledge is created and communicated. And this is how it turned out.
God morgen og velkommen til Rådstua. Den neste timen så skal dere få være med på noe litt spesielt, for dere skal få høre 3 scenekunstnere formidle forskning, og det er forskning om fysisk aktivitet. Og som sagt, underveis i denne panelsamtalen så skal dere få anledning til å stille spørsmål eller komme med kommentarer. Så skal dere ta fram mobiltelefonen, bruke den QR-koden der for å svare på noen enkle spørsmål. Og mellom hver visning så vil det komme opp nye QR-koder med nye spørsmål. God morgen.
And final, this is a project that actually Chloe as well have been experiencing a part of, and this is a health literacy escape room. It is an interactive learning activity designed to make health communication both a bit fun, but also a bit critical. It's built around real-world examples of health misinformation, for instance, social media posts with exaggerated health claims or misleading miracle cures. Participants, usually students who we designed it for, work in teams to solve puzzles and challenges that require them to identify false information, evaluate sources, and piece together the evidence to actually escape. What makes this tool effective is that it turns media literacy into an experience instead of being told what is true or false. And participants discover how to evaluate credibility through collaboration and play. The concept can easily be adapted for schools, libraries, and youth organizations, and it's a practical way to strengthen both health and media literacy. Key skills in resisting misinformation and building informed citizenship. And now we are going in for a landing. Common for all these initiatives depend on collaboration. Public authorities provide policy and coordination. Researchers contribute evidence, educators foster critical thinking, media organizations ensure transparency, and young people add relevance and authenticity. This networked approach, I think, at least, is key to building sustainable health communication and public trust. And from these experiences, several lessons stand out. First and foremost, collaboration across disciplines increase both reach and credibility. Being creative and participatory methods engage group but might ignore traditional health messages. Youth participation build authenticity and trust. And ongoing reflection and adaptation keep communication relevant in a fast-changing digital environment. So to wrap it up, health and misinformation is a shared challenge, not just a communication issue, but a societal one. Norway's approach combines national strategy, professional campaigns, research, and participatory education to strengthen trust and literacy. By connecting health communication, media education, and citizen engagement, we create resilience against misinformation. And through continued international collaboration, we can keep learning how to support informed and confident and critical aware communities. Thank you for your time.
And thank you very much, Kristine. And indeed, I participated to the escape room this summer in Denmark during a conference, and it was really fun with some of my colleagues that are also, I think, who joined the webinar session to this. It's nice. I don't see any question right now in the chat. However, I do have questions. So first of all, you present us a multitude of different projects targeting different audiences, also different formats and media, different stakeholders. My question is that which audience should be prioritized when we talk about health misinformation? Again, I know that we're talking about public health here, and that the whole population and the whole citizenry is concerned. But when I heard Gabrielle, for example, or Wim talk about vulnerable groups, so I was wondering, in Norway, for example, which audience should be prioritized, if there is one?
That's an excellent question, because as we all know in communication, one solution doesn't fit all. So, but if you are connecting the dots regarding what we are defining as people in vulnerable situation, I know that two groups especially are part of the agenda right now, and one of them needs young people that are not working or not in education. And the second one is people on long sick leaves. We're really happy that we have this safety net if anything happens, of course, but how can we support people to participate? Because being a part of the working force is not only about money, it's about people wanting to participate and wanting to be a part of the society as well.
And to that, I wanted to add that so when we see all of those different initiatives in Norway, to which challenges or needs should we focus to build on new initiative for health misinformation? So I know it's again a broad question, but to you, because for example, I think in the open discussion we will talk about the generative AI, because now it's coming up. So I guess it's also influencing health disinformation at large. So I was wondering if there is any specific needs or challenges that we should focus on.
I think you addressed one of the issues in the question, actually, because today in this environment, there's so much information. Finding health information isn't the problem, but what should I follow? What should I incorporate in my life? Which action should I do? And the Nordic countries, we are experts in seeking health information online. Actually, Finland is on top, and I think Norway comes second or third. So we tend to do that instead of talking to professionals, which means we have to design an environment that supports that kind of action as well. But yeah, I think we could follow this topic into the plenary discussion at the end, perhaps.
Yeah. And one last question, Adina from Italy is asking, what was your experience in involving young people in creating initiatives, campaigns specifically, in working with young people?
That's a long question. I'm actually attending a conference right now where I'm going to talk for 50 minutes just about that question, actually. In that presentation, I actually talk a lot about if we are doing co-creation with young people, it's important to let loose, to not control every aspect. Because if researchers or communicators or other institutions are controlling too much of the narrative, then we will do the same thing as we have always done. Then the co-creation part kind of disappears instead of being a part of the project. And we find that working especially with young people, they feel encouraged, they feel empowered, they feel involved, and they give much more responses. And in my opinion, I think that we are underestimating today's adolescents and young adults. They can take it, but they want to be a part of the discussion. So we need to talk to each other instead of from a communicator to a recipient.
Thank you, Kristine. And yeah, I see that we are running a bit late, so now we will move on to our last but not least, again, presentation, and Kristine will stay with us for our open discussion afterwards. So thank you. And so our next speaker will be Rut Sobrino, and she will be presenting her ongoing projects. So we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I was so motivated and inspired.
Sorry, it's just not full screen, but all good.
Yes, it was going, it was going. You have to be a bit patient with these communications that we have in China, my dear friends. I'm very inspired about all the initiatives that you are commenting. Today, I'm the visible face of a very large group of researchers, very much interested in fighting disinformation, misinformation, and all these phenomena that we are hearing about in these days, which are not new, by the way. I'm a former reporter and correspondent, and I've been working in parallel to the academia as an advisor and consultant for UN organizations, also for UNESCO for several years. So I have combined hats. Now that you are talking about media literacy, I remembered all the initiatives and projects that have been taking part in so many countries. But at the same time, here today, I am, as I said, the visible face of a very large group of researchers from different universities, expressing the importance that all these phenomena and the concerns that all these phenomena are bringing to our societies and also to the governments. The ComSalud project, so the ComHealth project, is based on the Media Lab of the University Carlos III in Madrid. So I don't know if you heard about this university, but it's actually quite prominent in research and in working on different types of projects. And under this Media Lab, which is actually an initiative that has been conducting studies, research, also work with UN organizations in other countries, we have also this ComHealth project. I think that all the researchers taking part in that group, in that project that is running for 4 years, have been very much influenced by the COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, one of the projects or one of the research studies that I was taking part like 3-4 years ago at the beginning of this initiative was a study in which we contacted more than 200 journalists working in different territories and parts of the world: Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, Latin America, the United States. And we were asking them what was the main issue that they faced during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of them were tackling, of course, misinformation, disinformation, but also many of them mentioned the low resources and the low support that they received from public institutions and their own governments. So this is, you know, again, the beginning of this initiative, and that is the team that is engaged in this ComHealth project. So as you can see, different universities are mentioned here, expressing again how important and how relevant these phenomena have become for the academic world. We have a working group in which I'm part of that, coming from different profiles from different universities, but also from different understanding of how we can fight misinformation and disinformation. As I said, I'm coming from not only the academia, but also the international organizations world. And we have been actually working against this phenomena for so many years. This is the website that we have in the Media Lab. And here you can find information about the project. But I'm going to describe only, key issues or key features about this initiative. The general objective of the initiative is to find or to identify recommendations from different sources so that we can improve the role of health communications or the quality of health communication that is, provided by digital environments, but also taking a special look to misinformation, conspiracy theories, and the education framework, because we all comment on how important are the social media today, how young adults and children are involved in these communications processes and in these information processes, but we have only few initiatives to tackle this target audience. The objectives of the project are quite ambitious. We have 8 different objectives. I'm not going to read all this, don't worry, I know we are running late, but just to mention few relevant ones, I think that one of the most ambitious ones is to create a network of Spanish health communications, something that has not been identified until now, and then to explore and to explore national regulations across this topic, but also to identify, let me remove this, to identify common patterns that are like running in these days with regard to misinformation, disinformation, and to the knowledge that different publics have about this phenomena. We have 6-7 activities running right now, interviews and focal groups in which we tackle or we try to conduct conversations, because at the end we are trying to conduct a debate with different publics like health experts and professionals, journalists. I liked the approach that Gabrielle was mentioning before, like media outlets and journalists are essential to fight the problem that we are facing across the globe. Secondary education students and the general population or the general public, the general society. The activity 2 is a national survey in which we try to understand the public comprehension of health-related topics, and then the behaviors towards mass media and social media, 2 different fields, but those complex actually contexts. And then other interests which have been identified in the interviews and in the focal groups. Some items that we try to identify in those interviews and in those conversations, like, for example, the social demographic characteristics of the participants, the ideology of the participants, the cultural factors like religious beliefs, the trust in the government, something that was mentioned in the presentations before. It seems that those with low trust in government are more susceptible or more vulnerable to this type of waves, misinformation and disinformation. And of course, more vulnerable to contribute to disseminate this type of messages and fake narratives or propagandistic narratives, we may say. The third activity is related to media content analysis, very much related to what you were doing in other projects. But now we are also addressing the press, like mass media, traditional media, websites, and also social media. So in these 3 contexts. The fourth activity is about the revision of the regulation regarding misinformation, disinformation, and to conduct an analysis of these regulatory frameworks, not only within Spain, but also what are the recommendations from international organizations within the UN family and the European Commission especially. Finally, and if that was ambitious, like the interviews that I was commenting and the objectives of the project, this is even more ambitious because we are trying to create a manual for secondary school teachers and a guide for journalists, those interested and already engaged in fighting misinformation and disinformation, but also those who are still not really familiar with those concepts and those mechanisms to improve the information quality or the quality of the information that we received. The Spanish network of health communications is something that we believe is going to be generating a lot of interest, but a lot of connections. And this is something that I see in this type of workshops and this type of events. It's not only about getting inspired by other projects, but also to open possibilities for further collaboration. As the previous presenter was saying, yes, Norway and Spain might be far, but we share common objectives and we share common concerns. So these type of events are also an opportunity to join forces and to create possibilities for cooperation and to work together in a transversal manner. We just had the second European Congress on Disinformation few weeks ago. So I think that launching now the possibility to engage with other groups, with other efforts is very pertinent. This is the more or less the schedule of the project throughout its 4 years. And I would be very happy to share with you more about the initiative in the discussion. And of course, after this event and after the webinar that we are having today, I thank you again, the organizers, to bring us together. And I just share with you the website of the Media Lab, where you can find more information about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think one of your colleagues put the link to the website in the chat. So if everyone has any question or would like to have a look, so please feel free. The link is in the chat. I see that there is one question from Dorina, but before that, I have one myself. I was wondering, so the guide and the manuals that you will be creating for journalists and for schools, will they be in Spanish or in other multiple languages?
Now this is work in progress, so Spanish for sure. Other languages, I am not sure, but probably there will be possibilities to translate that into different languages within the EU context.
Okay, and I was also wondering because, yeah, I mean, Spanish, I can't remember if it's the second most spoken, maybe not language in the world, but I was wondering if you're also collaborating with South American universities as well on this project, or exchanging with them as well, although the situation and the context are completely different from one country to another, and also because it's different continents, but I was wondering if there was any exchange.
There have been many exchanges, not only related to this ComHealth project, but also with the Media Lab as a whole. The Media Lab has been contributing to UNHCR in a project about misinformation and disinformation in Chile. So many universities were contacting and tackled for that initiative. So the Media Lab has been very active with relations with Latin American universities, and probably this ComHealth project will be also an open opportunity for this type of institutions.
Okay, I see. So I have now a question indeed from Dorina, and she's talking about, if I find the question, transparency. She said that transparency of results in research is really important to prevent miscommunication. However, she said, what processes to ensure that we have transparent process? Because we know that statistically speaking, we do not have 100% best results. And she says, so 95 for confidence interval still leads to 5% of error. So yeah, she's talking about indeed transparency and results. I don't know if you can answer to that.
Well, I mean, to answer something like that, I would need a 1 hour, you know, because it is true. I mean, transparency is one of the most complex issues, not only in research, in any publication, in any project that you are conducting. To add or to guarantee transparency, it's very difficult. In my opinion, transparency can be enhanced with honest public information about anything that you are doing. So even if you are not reaching your results and the objectives of this project are very much very ambitious, as I said at the beginning, even you have to communicate what is going on and what are the results, or at least the steps that you have been following. This project is financed by in a public manner, so we have to report on any activity that we are doing, and you know how exhaustive are reporting efforts at the university level. So I'm coming from the United Nations. We are also following very rigorous protocols, but I assure that in the university level or at the academic level, these reports are also very exhaustive. So both sides, like public information, honest public information to guarantee that everything is communicated, and then reporting to the funds of the initiative, I think that will guarantee the transparency of any project, any initiative taken under this aspect.
Thank you. I will invite now Wim, Luc, Gabrielle, and also Kristine to join me. I know that we are running a bit out of time because we talked a lot. There was many presentations and also a lot of questions. But I have two more questions maybe before we close this webinar to address to all of you. So all of the examples were interesting. Something that actually struck me first is that very often in a lot of the campaigns, humor was used. I saw that in the Norwegian context, I saw that in the French context, but for the, let's say the VRT example was a bit different because it was a different approach, and also for the project, for Ruth's project was different because it was very much academic. But in your case, Gabrielle and also Kristine, I was wondering how important when tackling health misinformation, humor maybe could be a good solution, let's say.
I'm really sorry, but I didn't understand the question. Can you?
Yeah, I was wondering because I saw that, for example, INSERM is using a lot of humor to tackle health misinformation. And I was wondering how humor could be a solution, and how this, how important it is to talk about this kind of delicate topic, let's say. Kristine?
Yeah, in our case, we did measurements in the project where we used actors to present health information. And we had 3 different cases, but the first one was kind of a avant-garde TikTok thing. And the second one was traditional monologue by an actor. And the third one was a stand-up comedian. And we did collect surveys before and in between the different acts and after, and we saw actually a 45% increase in engagement compared to the other 2 ways of presenting health information. And as well, we saw a 14% increase in learning outcome. They remembered more from the last one using humor than the other 2 being more serious.
Oh, yeah. And Gabrielle?
Yes, actually, our position about this has a bit evolved over time. You have to know that at the beginning, Canal Detox was actually a video series, and the first video we did to launch the campaign was actually a joke where a scientist of the INSERM was saying, like, I have found a cure for hair, so something about hair growing, I think, and then he was going very seriously about this, and at some point at the video we just explained, hey, all of this is false. Actually, this researcher is not at all specialized in health implants, so this is all health misinformation. We used it a lot, and we use it also in the campaign that I showed from 2 years ago. And now we are actually a bit more cautious. We do not say it's forbidden to do humor, but we do a little bit less because we don't want to feed unintentionally the misinformation. And also we want people to realize that this is actually not just a joke and something very serious that can really harm you. Like, for example, you stop you stop a cure because you heard about a fake miracle cure. It might endanger your life, and that's not so funny, actually. So we have also noticed, for example, that media we are collaborating with, like, for example, France Info and TF1. They used to do what we call in France April Fool, like on the 1st of April, they used to do a joke, and now they don't do it anymore because they actually noticed that this can feed disinformation. So we are a bit more cautious on this. Yeah,
indeed. Okay, thank you. I had also another question, completely unrelated this time. I was wondering because based on research, we learned that young boys, let's say young men, are more inclined or prone to disinformation and misinformation, for disinformation at large. Now, I was wondering, when we talk about specifically about health misinformation, can we see a difference? So this question is addressed to you all. Can we see a difference? For example, Luc and Wim, because you did a lot of collect of data, I was wondering if it applies more to women, men, if there is a difference between gender and the age group.
It depends on the topics, of course, that we are talking about. For example, if you see supplements about growing muscles, it's a more masculine audience, and if you see some things about contraception, of course, it's a more female audience. So it really depends on which topics that you're studying, I feel. But I think everybody is as influenceable as. There's no difference in the groups, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone wanted to add anything? I was just wondering, indeed. No. Okay. And I had another question now. It was related to generative AI. Because now everyone talks about it. Media literacy, we talked about it. Now governments are talking about it. Nations are trying to put in place regulation and so on. I was wondering if in health misinformation you see now new forms of disinformation due to generative AI.
If I may?
Yeah. Of course.
Yes, we see an influence. What we in a later investigation saw the especially for selling supplements, that we see a lot of AI faces talking as a doctor, for example. Yesterday, I found a video of a dermatologist talking about his wife, and he was 30 years a dermatologist. But if you do some reverse image search, so investigation on the face of the doctor, we saw that he came from a data source, a data app in which you could freely take the faces from and let them speak whatever you want them to say. And if you have a paid app like this, for example, you can adjust the clothes that the face is wearing. You can give him a doctor's jacket. You can set him in a white room, which is more like a doctor cabinet, so he's more trustable. So we see a big influence in the whole supplement selling industry with AI.
Okay, it's interesting. Anyone else wanted to add anything? I don't know if it's country specific or it's just wide.
No, just in the same sense that Luc just said. We were recently reached by a fact-checker journalist, and he also found a video of actually a famous fake medicine guru, and it was AI generated content with this fake med guru that was promoting. So it was actually something fake at the someone promoting fake news at the beginning, and its message was amplified and also deformed through AI. I don't know if it's very clear.
Wow. But, yeah, I see what you mean. Kristine? We can't hear you.
Sorry, rookie mistake. I think it's quite important to also balance this discussion, because AI is not going to disappear. It's a part of our everyday action and reality right now. And I think it's important to also enhance that AI can also help detect misinformation early, actually. And it's really an advantage in how to target communication, for instance. However, of course, AI is a part of the reason that misinformation spreads even more. Like the example that Luc gave us just recently, and deepfakes and algorithms and so on. And like I saw some people in the comments wrote something like about education. So to learn about what is real and what is not real, and how to be critical is more important than ever. However, I think that young adults kind of have a literacy that I'm sorry, people, but all of us are quite old in the eyes of a 18-year-old, and I believe that they also have a set of skills to identify what is real and what isn't. So it depends on the measure.
Thank you, Kristine. But yeah, we are towards now getting towards our session, but I will ask one more question. It comes from the audience, and the person is asking, do you also make the content accessible for deaf audience in sign languages? So I think it's complicated for all of you to answer, because Ruth, it's more an academic project, and Luc, but I was wondering, for example, Gabrielle, in your case, for videos and things like this, is there any accessibility formats?
Actually, I'm quite sure I'm quite sure the videos are not accessible for deaf people, and I deeply regret that. The articles, although are of course good for deaf people, and also we made on our social media content. I'm not an expert on this, but our community manager has made sure that we have accessible content on social media. This is what I can say, and also that our website is has accessibility norms, but we could do better, of course.
Luc, you would like to add something? We can't hear you.
As for VOT, and that is an advantage of AI as well, we have the possibility to get audio translation of written articles. And thank you for calling us old, Kristine.
I will give the floor lastly to Kristine.
I'm sorry, we're not old, we're experienced, aren't we? But I love that you actually addressed the question of inclusion. So I didn't see who wrote it, but thank you for addressing it. That is actually one of the reasons that we developed Universe, the stage project. You shouldn't need perfect language skills to understand the message. Communication is designed to engage multiple senses. So if you're deaf, or if you're blind, or other things, I think this possibility through learning, through movement, through visuals, through sounds, through interaction, and to make the content accessible for people who are, like you said, deaf, blind, or have limited Norwegian in your case, it's so important. So accessibility isn't only technical, it's about creating messages that can be understood more than one way, more than just reading or listening or talking.
Thank you. And I just wanted to give the floor also to Ruth, if you have anything to add on this topic or on the other questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I cannot agree more with what Kristine was saying. It's about providing accessible content to everybody. I mean, and not only, you know, to mention all these concerns and mention all these phenomena that we are facing in several countries, not only within the European Union context. So yes, I mean, definitely to provide the applications and to apply the possibilities to have access to different disabilities, but also different understandings and different mindsets is mandatory. You were mentioning how children are more vulnerable, and boys especially are more vulnerable to misinformation and disinformation. We have now several studies in many countries, including Spain, and I'm very sure that in yours is happening the same. And we should ask why this is happening, why most of the boys now between 10 years old and 13 years old are very vulnerable to far right misinformation and these type of propagandistic narratives, and then to look for situations and for solutions that they can be receiving that information and receiving that content that should be also preparing them for what is coming, because they are not going to stay with 10 years old forever. So this is something that young generations should be really addressed in this issue.
Indeed, I could not agree more. So thank you all.